Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Crucial Conversations podcast. My goal on this platform is to empower others towards self-fulfillment. These are the conversations that you need to have to unlock your maximum potential. Whether you are feeling confused about your path in life, falling in love, starting a business, healing your inner child, moving to a foreign country, embarking on your spiritual journey, or building generational wealth, let's talk. The range of emotions and experiences that allow us to fully live our lives on Earth are beautiful and yet can be difficult to navigate. My goal is to create a safe space to talk about life, the good and the bad, in an effort to share wisdom, advice, and insight. I want to connect with you. I want to encourage you and empower you to live the life of your dreams, while reminding you that that does not always mean that you need to change your circumstances. Together, we will help each other level up and have the crucial conversations necessary to do so. Hey guys, happy Monday. I am recording this bridge into today's episode separately from the content for the day. I had the opportunity to speak on the Women's Inspiration Network this past Thursday, so I am going to be releasing that interview in the form of an audio clip in today's episode. But I wanted to introduce the topics that are going to be discussed today. So in my interview, I discussed some of the things that I'm currently going through and coming to terms with and embracing and growing into as a young adult and as a young leader. So some of the things that I talk about include defining your why, creating and improving your blueprint, defining your version of success, the most important part of the equation being starting the step-by-step process to obtain your goals and unearth your competencies, and also transitioning out of the mindset of work-life balance and into the mindset of work-life harmony, cultivating the mindset that does not so starkly contrast our work from our life, but rather incorporates our work into our lives so that our scales aren't becoming imbalanced on such a frequent basis. Tune into today's episode if any of these topics sound of interest to you. I am hopefully going to be generating some more feedback from you guys about what you would like to hear on this platform via my social media, crucial.conversations on Instagram, so that we can connect with each other and we can grow this community in the ways that I aspire to and just curate a platform for connection and fulfillment. And I thank all of you guys for tuning in to today's episode, and I hope that you enjoy. Last time I spoke a lot about my advice and the things that I had learned so far in my life as a leader. So I'm going to continue that conversation and open up the floor for new experiences that I've had in the last couple of months. I feel like I'm really coming into myself as a leader even more than I was when I spoke a couple of months back. I feel like every year there's so much that changes in my life and so much that I am able to experience growth in. And so I'm going to share a little bit about that today. Linda already introduced me. My name is Gabby. I really like to explain myself as a lover of life and of experiences, because as I've grown up, I find it harder and harder to pigeonhole my identity to my career or some of my hobbies. So I threw in a couple of other things in there. I did go to Michigan State. I did graduate in the year of 2021. So I have a degree in marketing and my position is currently in management. So I am really passionate about business. As Linda mentioned, I did start my own Learn to Swim program about 4 to 5 years ago, ran that for 3 years. I was a swimmer my whole life, and I did have a career-ending injury when I went out to the University of California in San Diego. That did prompt me to move back home, and that is when I incorporated swimming back into my life, but from a coaching standpoint. So after those 3 years, it was time for me to make the decision whether I wanted to continue on down that path or I wanted to try something new. So I did accept the position that I presently am in as the general manager of Goldfish West Bloomfield. So the owners of the franchise business and the president of the company, they opened up their first location after the 2006 Birmingham
initial location here in West Bloomfield in January. And I have been leading that beautiful team since then after helping open up the place. So it's been a really, really enjoyable experience for me. And I have learned immense amounts of leadership qualities and ways to mentor, younger people on my team, older people on my team, and how to mentor myself, really. I have a podcast. I really enjoy the outdoors, love camping, hiking, traveling with my family and my friends, all of that fun stuff. And what I listed about me here in my top 5 priorities in life, I was having a conversation with my aunt about 2 weeks ago when we were camping together. And I feel like not a lot of people take the time to evaluate their priorities often. And so we had a conversation about it, and it got me thinking about what really matters to me in my life. And so I listed my 5 priorities, first and foremost, as my loved ones. I love my family and friends. The quality of my life is strictly contingent upon the quality of my relationships, in my opinion. Adventures and experiences, traveling, camping, hiking, sailing, surfing, all of that fun stuff. Personal and professional fulfillment. I really, really enjoy mentoring and empowering others. I am a leader in my current position, but I feel like I assume that position in a lot of my other relationships outside of the professional realm as well, because I genuinely enjoy initiating and problem solving and everything like that. Intellectual stimulation. I really like learning, reading, listening to podcasts. I love engaging in Socratic discussions. And then health. So that is spiritual health, physical health, mental health, all of the above. I'm really, really passionate about fostering environments for me that allow me to feel fulfilled in all of those areas and like I'm really taking care of myself. So those are my top 5 priorities in life. And some of my current goals are to eventually become a full-time life coach, a sponsored podcaster, a retreat host, and a traveling entrepreneur. The first slide that I have here is, it really just cultivates my motivation as a leader. And what I want to talk a little bit about freely is the importance of having a why as a leader. And it doesn't matter if you are leading a team, if you're leading yourself, if you are, navigating a sports team as a leader there or a captain, whatever that might be. I'm going to talk a little bit about why it's so important to have a why, and then about creating and improving your blueprint. And when I say blueprint, essentially what I mean is your personally designed and curated plan to reach your goals and achieve your version of success. So what is a why? A why is, why are you doing what you are doing? So why did you choose the job that you have, the place that you live, the friends that you have? In my opinion, there always has to be a why. And I know that when I am working really, really hard and I'm investing a lot of my time and energy into achieving a goal or fulfilling some sort of responsibility, if I do not have a why, that is when I start to lose sight of my place in and my purpose in what it is that I'm working toward. And I know that sometimes we're going to have things in life that aren't going to fulfill us 110%. And that's normal. You got to get through the grind. You got to embrace the struggle. But if you are making a conscious decision to engage in a career or in a relationship or in an activity, I genuinely believe that having a why is going to be that fuel for your fire and is really going to be the leading source toward helping you achieve your goals. As a leader in my current position, things get a little bit crazy. We've got team members that have shifting schedules, and I have to coordinate things with our members and our vendors. And there's a lot of moving parts in my position. And as a manager of any location, I'm sure that anyone else can relate to some of the daily struggles and constant fires that we have to put out on a daily basis as managers and as leaders. And so in order to keep your head screwed on straight, I believe that it's so essential to have that why, because when you get stressed and you get a little overwhelmed and things are going a little chaotic and crazy, you have to revert back to your why and remind yourself of why you are doing what you are doing. Because if you do not have that fallback of, okay, this is where my head's at, I'm going to push forward, I'm going to trudge forward, I'm going to, hash it out because my end goal is X, Y, and Z, then it's a lot easier for you to let those external factors break you down and essentially, cause you to maybe quit or give up a little bit sooner than you may need in order to achieve your goals. So having that why is very important. And if you don't have one, you should find one. I am very passionate about water safety. I'm very passionate about coaching and empowering others. And when things get crazy, I have to remind myself of why I accepted my position in the first place. And it's not an easy job. And I think that being a leader, no matter what that looks like or what lens you're looking through and calling someone a leader or a manager or a mentor or a coach, there are going to be times that things get out of hand. And the best coaches and the best leaders, the best entrepreneurs, they are the ones who have refined their why and have articulated exactly what they are doing and why they have chosen to do it. So ask yourself some questions. Maybe you've been in this job for a really, really long time and you're not sure why you're still doing it. You have to ask yourself those kinds of questions. And if your blueprint has changed and you've developed new goals over time, it is not something to be frowned upon to change your course or change your direction because your why has changed. But I think that just asking yourself that question often is really important as a leader. And then defining success, what success means to you. Linda and I have talked about this before. And, in business, in your personal life, in, athletic careers, in hobbies, if you are working towards something, oftentimes people are migrating toward this idea of success or being great at something or being the best, whatever that might look like for you in whatever it is that you're working hard at. You have to make sure that you are placing the parameters on your own definition of what success is. And success looks different to many different people. And something that I stress when I am talking to my friends or the people that I work with is that it is so essential to understand your own personalized version of success, because if you do not, you will be swayed toward another person's version of success. So my version of success may look different than all of your guys's or, some of my friends or my family members. But personally, my version of success entails freedom for quality time with my loved ones, peace of mind, spiritual alignment, travel opportunities, and living comfortably without financial stress. Some people may consider success to be having a lake house, being able to surf whenever they want to, might be having oceanfront property. It might be achieving an Olympic gold medal. It looks so different for every individual on this planet. And if we do not cultivate a definition of success for ourselves, we lose sight again of that why, what we're working toward, because we don't have these facets for personal fulfillment to get us there. Like I said, you're going to be swayed by other people's opinions of what you should be doing and what you're not doing and what you need to do in order to get there. And there is such an interesting, it's in such an interesting intangible destination, right? Because there's such a difference in our minds between here and there. And your definition of success is going to be what not only defines there, but also helps you for the stepping stones as to if you're here, how you're going to get there. But everybody's there. Again, it's an intangible destination. So it's going to look different for everyone else. Sometimes figuring out what you want for yourself and your life starts with figuring out what you do not want. I know that for me, I accepted my current position at 21 years old. And I had a pretty solid idea, and I feel lucky to know that I wanted certain things in my career, such as autonomy and leadership opportunities and freedom to exercise my creativity and my ability to problem solve. I knew that I wanted these things, but I did not know necessarily what career path I wanted to take. I didn't wake up one day and know that, I wanted to be a child therapist, like a lot of my close friends or family members may have figured out at an early age. And as a kid, they've dreamed of being something and, they've worked their whole lives toward being that one thing. I didn't have a clearly defined career path for myself. And when I accepted my current position, I really had to evaluate some of the qualities in my life that I appreciated and I wanted to continue to cultivate in a professional setting. But I didn't know exactly what I wanted. And I think that there is such a stigma nowadays that if you don't know exactly what you want and you can't put a clearly defined label on a career or on a path, it's almost frowned upon because you feel like you don't have a direction. But again, going back to that why, if you can internally reflect enough to the point that you can understand why you are looking for certain qualities of life. And when I say qualities of life, again, I'm talking about my version of success. I know that I want time with my loved ones. I know that I want to be able to have peace of mind. I don't necessarily want to be running around ragged and have 50 million places to go on a daily basis. And so having those things that I knew I wanted out of life and know that I want out of life helped me to navigate towards the current career that I have. And as I have accepted this position and as I have tried out new things and hobbies and experiences in my life, it has allowed me to grow closer and closer and closer to my overarching goal of, now I know I want to be a life coach. I want to be a speaker. I have my podcast now, but I didn't know these things at 21 when I accepted my position. I knew that I wanted to be a leader. I accepted that to whatever degree I have currently at Goldfish, but I have learned so much about myself in knowing, okay, this is what I really love about my job. This is what I don't really love about my job. And so sometimes figuring out what you want starts with figuring out what you don't want. Choosing a path when you have no idea what you're necessarily looking for is really, really hard, especially coming right out of college. For me, I know that was difficult. Maybe in a career change, maybe in, you're looking to relocate, and it looks different for everyone again, but knowing what you want, sometimes figuring out what you do not want. And I've learned that so much throughout my career and in my personal life as I've developed over the last couple of years. So really just starting being the most important part of the journey and recognizing that every step that you take is a stepping stone, whether you can recognize it as one or not. So becoming aware, learning, developing, and implementing and or re-navigating. My job right now, I love it. And it's a stepping stone toward my greater goal. But I've learned so much about myself as a leader and how to mentor people since I've accepted this position. So just recognizing that you've got to start, and sometimes you might start on what is considered the wrong path, but it's a stepping stone to get you closer to what you really truly do want. So now that we've talked a little bit about the why, we're going to talk a little bit about the how. It's awesome to figure out what your why is, but there comes a time where then you have to take action, right, in order to achieve your goals. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. And like I referenced before, the stepping stone analogy is so key in my life. And I think that it is really relevant for other people that are on their own life journeys. So this step-by-step process of recognizing your why, your goals, what direction you are hoping to lead your life in, there's a process, right? So recognizing your goals, evaluating your current reality, understanding your options, and then choosing your way forward. It can be very overwhelming to sit down and come up with a quantifiable goal and then figure out exactly what the next step is to achieving that goal. And in my generation, we can get things instantly nowadays. And hard work is feared, I feel, by so many people in my generation, because we want results immediately. And unfortunately, that is not realistic. And it's also not as fulfilling. And so, people want to achieve their goals the day after they've figured out what that is. But I think that slowing down that process and recognizing the stepping stones and each step in order to achieve your goals starts with evaluating your reality. Where are you currently at? Where are you struggling? Where are you doing great? Evaluate your reality. Understanding your present situation is the only way that you're going to be able to propel yourself to a future version of yourself. So understanding pros and cons of your current situation, evaluating your reality. From there, what are your options? You have to take into account financial circumstances, family and friends. Do you have the opportunity to up and change your life right now? What does that look like for you? What are your options and what is feasible for you to reach your goals in your current circumstance? So it takes evaluating your reality a step further and pushing you into the problem solver kind of seat and thinking about what your options truly are, because you might have the capability to root up your life and move to Florida in a month because you know that you want to experience warmer weather year round. Awesome. Some people who have family members and jobs that are supporting those family members may not have those options, but they may be able to join a club that is, I don't know, propelling them toward a hobby that they know they want to make potentially a full-time job later on. So you have to evaluate your options, and then you have to choose the way forward. So thinking about your goals and brainstorming and reflecting is the first part of the equation, but there comes a time that you do have to take action, because thought becomes word, word becomes action, action becomes result, right? So if you have evaluated your reality and you have listed your options, it is then time to choose your way forward, because what you don't change won't change, right? Making sure that you're being honest with yourself, because you know that you're going to have to eventually choose a way forward if you want to propel yourself toward those goals. And there's a time and a place to attract all of the good things in abundance and to trust God. God is my confidant and is my support for my life and everything that I do. And so freeing up my hands from controlling my life to a certain extent and letting God navigate my life is really important in my mental well-being and my spiritual relationship with God. But there does come a time where you're going to be presented with opportunity, and you have to be the one to initiate that way forward. So just being honest with yourself is really important. And understanding that you are the only one that has the answers to your problems. So you have to ask yourself the question. It comes back to defining your own version of success. If you are consulting someone whose version of success is to own a sailboat and travel the world, but your version of success is to settle down on a ranch in Montana with, 8 kids, you guys are going to have different avenues to which you're going to achieve those versions of success. So you need to ask yourself the questions. What really matters to you? Again, evaluate your reality. What are your options and your way forward? Because you are the only one that has those answers. But again, having your own personalized definition of your goals and your success is essential to then start asking yourself the right questions to propel you forward. I have this quote in here from Jay Shetty, and he is one of my favorite podcasters, and he is just an amazing and very, very wise human being. But he says that competencies are not learned. They are unearthed from the vast richness of our mind and soul. I really, really appreciate this quote so much, because it comes back to my point about asking yourself the questions, because the answers to your problems will always come from you. It can be easy to grasp from external sources and run towards those answers before we look inward. But truly, our competency and our quality of life and the things that are going to help us get there and achieve those things, they're unearthed from the vast richness of our mind and soul, right? We have the answers. Sometimes it just takes us a stepping stone or figuring out what we don't want to get closer to those answers. But at the end of the day, in your heart what is motivating you and what quality of life you want, in your heart. So it's important to make sure that you're looking inward and not always grasping externally for those answers. The last thing that I want to briefly touch on is something that I have been learning, and it's been very, very apparent in my life that it's an area that I need to improve, which is balance versus harmony. Everybody has heard work-life balance. You've got to make sure that you're doing enough fun stuff to keep yourself motivated and at work. And, we look at it almost like it's a scale, right? Of, okay, we're doing this much work and our life here is on the other side. And if we're doing too much work, we're not doing enough of life. But if we're doing too much of life, maybe we're not succeeding really, really magnanimously at work, right? So it's this scale kind of model. But what I have developed and what I have realized is so essential to my mental well-being is that I Versus balance, I need harmony. I do not do well when my work and my life are separate, because at the end of the day, we're alive, we're living this life, and work is a part of that life. So maintaining a harmony between all of the things that you're doing and incorporating work into your life. I used to struggle when I would get calls from staff members on, on holidays, or, at midnight, or, on my day off. And it would be like, oh, I have to stop what I'm doing. And, I have to figure this out. Hold on. I got to stop having my life and I've got to revert back to work. But as I've started to adopt this mentality of maintaining harmony, I'll answer the call and it's like, hey, what's going on? And it's fine. Like, I don't have to go into full blown panic mode because I got to step into work. I'm off the scale and now we're unbalanced, So maintaining that harmony of, okay, it's a part of my life and I can direct my focus here for a minute and my life is still happening. It's still going on. It happens differently at different times for different people. But for me, I know that looking at my life in compartments is not the best way for me to feel fulfilled in all areas of my life. There's a war on work recently. Like, nobody wants to work, and I get it, but there is fulfillment in working. And that's why you have to have a why, because if you're working towards something that you're not, feeling fulfilled for, or you don't have a why, you're not going to feel like this is worth your while or your effort or your energy. But maintaining that harmony, incorporating the facets of your life that bring you joy and bring you happiness. How does your job or what you do for work, how can you incorporate some of those things that you appreciate about life and gather that from your position or your career and maintain more of a harmony versus this scale balance that oftentimes will become imbalanced very easily when we look at them so starkly contrasted. Burnout is, it's common. It's a tough life out here, and blood, sweat, and tears go into your job or your sport or a hobby or whatever. And exerting yourself so often and to such a great degree can be overwhelming, and maybe you're doing too much. But I know personally, for me, it goes back to this harmony thing. If I'm doing too much, that's one thing. I'm tired, I need a break. I need some room to breathe. But if I am not maintaining those areas of my life and cultivating that harmony and doing things that make me feel alive. So spending time with my loved ones, being outdoors and engaging in these activities that fuel my soul. If I'm not doing enough of those things, that is when I experience burnout, because my life, again, is so starkly contrasted. So sprinkling in those things that make you who you are and make you feel alive is so important, because you need to understand what makes you happy and fuels your fire. If you don't water that plant and you aren't allowing that to grow, then you're leaving it dead in infertile soil, right? And so it's a path to disaster. That plant is going to die, and you're going to feel like you have this area of your life that's unfulfilled. So sprinkling in those things that make you feel alive is so important. It gives you things to look forward to. I could be working the same amount of hours, but if I'm not doing the things that bring me joy, spending time with my loved ones, sailing, hiking, I am going to be so much more tired if I'm working the same amount of hours than if I'm working those hours, but I'm sprinkling in those pieces of my life that make me so happy. So just maintaining that harmony is so important, and just feeding your soul, which is why you have to have a why. Why are you doing what you're doing? And if your why is that, hey, I do this because I have enough time to do this, that's enough of a why. That's all that you need. And again, everybody's is going to look different. My one piece of advice is that everyone should know and list their top 5 priorities. From there, you help define your own version of success, which is an absolute must, because only then can you begin to set your goals that will deliver you fulfillment, because everybody's goals are different. Everybody's version of success is different. Knowing what your priorities are, because again, step-by-step process is going to help you to define your version of success and how to get there. So that is definitely a must. If any of you are interested in connecting with me, one-on-one coaching opportunities I do have available. My personal email is listed below. So if any of you are interested in connecting or sharing your experiences or how you're feeling about this talk, then I am eager to connect with any and all of you. And I'm excited to kind of debrief with all of you beautiful people after this slide. So thank you so much for having me, Linda, Suzanne, for organizing this and cultivating this empowering and inspiring platform for women to speak and motivate each other to to achieve whatever their goals are and reach closer and closer to their own versions of success. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Gabby.
Oh my gosh, Gabby, that was amazing.
Thank you so much.
I think you are an inspiration to women of all ages. The fact that you are so motivated and understand how important it is to keep perspective of the work-life balance, but still, make sure that you are present at your job and in your life. I think that's really, really amazing. I think everyone can, take away something from today's talk.
Thank you, Suzanne. I appreciate it.
Linda, do you have anything else you want to add?
Oh my gosh, I asked Gabby a few months ago if she would be my mentor, and I hired her, and I'm just so happy with working with her.
I'm so happy working with you, Linda, genuinely. Thank you.
I think it's going to have you really try some more things.
I agree. I 100% agree with you.
And I think it's really great because Linda is a mentor in her own right.
Absolutely, she is. Absolutely. I know it's a whole circle. Suzanne, you're a mentor. Kathy, if she's not on this talk today, but she's a mentor, and I love being able to engage with all of you guys in that way, because we're all mentors.
Absolutely. And I think it is really important for women to really understand that we need to help one another. When you uplift someone, you are actually uplifting yourself even more.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
Just always be positive, like Gabby.
Not always. Sometimes I'm not positive, but I will say, maintain, if you can't be positive, be neutral. You have a choice to be positive, negative, or neutral. And whatever you do, you might not be gung-ho and you might not be feeling like the most optimistic person in the world, but if you can be neutral, that's the key. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Crucial Conversations. I hope that you were inspired by this talk and reminded that you are capable of anything you have the capacity to imagine. Share this episode with someone that you want to help unlock their maximum potential, because sometimes in order to find the answers, you have to know how to ask the questions, and that is what we do on this podcast. I love you all, and I will see you next time on Crucial Conversations.